Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, no matter where you are when you watch this video. I hope that you enjoy it. Today is a discussion post specifically on the distinction between liberty and freedom. I really like this subject a lot. I had a good time exploring it. And so, here in America, this is arguably the cornerstone of Western development. Whenever you hear the terms liberty and freedom, one of the first places you think of is the United States. It seems synonymous with the United States, particularly because it, is involved in our Constitution, it is in our Declaration of Independence, and so it's very, very prominent in America. And so, when we think about liberty and freedom, they seem identical. At least, to say the words alone, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. You say liberty and freedom at the same time. They mean the same thing, right? Well, I would argue that the majority of Americans would say that the words freedom and liberty mean the same thing. But are they right? Well, what is truly the difference between liberty and freedom? The best place to find these answers is, of course, to return to the past. One of the greatest influences on Western development is the great philosopher Aristotle. In his book Politics, specifically Volume 4, Aristotle makes an intriguing observation of government and the concept of free men and the wealthy. Here's his quote. "Therefore, we should rather say that democracy is the form of government in which the free are rulers and the oligarchy in which the rich. It is only an accident that the free are the many and the rich are the few. Otherwise, a government in which the offices were given according to stature, as it is said to be the case in Ethiopia, or according to beauty, would be an oligarchy. For the number of tall or good-looking men is small. And yet oligarchy and democracy are not sufficiently distinguished merely by these two characteristics of wealth and freedom. Both of them contain many other elements." However, when we look further beyond into people that Aristotle influenced, like Thomas Aquinas, how did he describe the concept of freedom and liberty? Aquinas equates these concepts to the concept of free will. Free will is a term that many of us are familiar with. Here's a quote from Thomas Aquinas. "For the sheep, seeing the wolf, judges it a thing to be shunned from a natural and not a free judgment, because it judges not from reason, but from natural instinct. And the same thing is to be said of any judgment of brute animals, but man acts from judgment, because by his apprehensive power he judges that something should be avoided or sought. But because this judgment in the case of some particular act is not from a natural instinct, but from some act of comparison in the reason, therefore he acts from free judgment and retains the power of being inclined to various things. For reason and contingent matters may follow opposite courses, as we see in dialectic syllogisms and rhetorical arguments. Now particular operations are contingent, and therefore in such matters the judgment of reason may follow opposite courses and is not detriment to one. And for as much as man is rational, it is necessary that man have a free will. So Aristotle suggests that a democracy is not led by either rich nor poor, but by free men. And Aquinas takes this further by describing what free will is. So how does this link to the distinguishment between liberty versus freedom? Well, we'll look at a modern guy, or a modern thinker. His name is Tommy Humphreys. And he says, when we confuse free will with a modern sense of freedom, we think that free will is perfectly free to do either this or that. But it's more appropriate to think of freedom as the context or ability to do this or that. Freedom is a condition for exercising choice, but not the same as the choice. This means I can have free will even when I don't have freedom. Liberty could be defined as free will. Freedom could be defined as the ability to act on that free will. In the grand scheme of Western development, the dichotomy between freedom and liberty is the cornerstone. It is the burning banner of Western civilization. Free will not infringed by the oppressors of freedom. Thank you.